Welcome to the presentation, The Why, What, and How of the Special Education Evaluation Process, Part 1. The evaluation webinars are part of a series presented by Pathfinder Services of North Dakota. The first webinar, The Top 10 Basics of the Special Education Process, was presented in February 2018 and provided participants with an overview of the process from referral to the review of the Individualized Education Program, IEP. The evaluation webinars will provide a comprehensive overview of the first 4 steps that focus on evaluation. These steps are: a child is identified as possibly needing special education-related services, a child is evaluated, eligibility is decided, and the child is found eligible for services. The Why, What, and How of the Special Education Evaluation Process webinars will address 3 questions. Why is a special education evaluation completed? What are the key requirements of a special education evaluation? And how are these requirements part of the North Dakota Special Education Evaluation Process? Part 1 focuses on the location, identification, and referral of a child identified as possibly needing special education and related services. Information in this webinar will also focus on the key requirements of a special education evaluation. These key requirements are based on the regulations found within the Individuals with Disabilities Education Act IDEA. Part 2 focuses on the North Dakota Department of Public Instruction, NDDPI, Special Education Evaluation Process that incorporates the IDEA requirements addressed in Part 1. The components within this process include the Student Profile Evaluation, Assessment Plan, and the Integrated Written Assessment Report. In addition to providing information relating to each of these evaluation components, we will provide basic information regarding reevaluation and the Independent Educational Evaluation. There were 3 main documents used in the development of these webinars. The first document was the North Dakota Department of Public Instruction, NDDPI, Office of Special Education Guidelines Evaluation Process. This guideline provides information regarding required practices and recommended procedures in North Dakota schools in the areas of public awareness, child find, screening, response to intervention, multi-tier system of supports, referral, and the complete evaluation process. A link to this document can be found on the Pathfinder website. The 2 additional documents that were used to create these webinars were the modules Introduction to Evaluation and Initial Evaluation and Reevaluation. These modules are part of the Building the Legacy training curriculum that was produced by NICHE, the National Dissemination Center for Children with Disabilities, at the request of the Office of Special Education Programs at the U.S. Department of Education. When NICHE's funding ended in 2013, the Building the Legacy training curriculum was moved to the Center for Parent Information and Training, CIPR. In addition to the Building the Legacy modules, CIPR has a wide variety of resources for parents of children with disabilities. Be sure and check out their website. Listed on this diagram are the basic steps of the special education evaluation process that is implemented when a child is identified as possibly needing special education and related services. On the bottom of this diagram are the components of the NDDPI Special Education Evaluation Process. The first 3 steps of this process focus on the question, why is a special education evaluation completed? A child has been identified as possibly needing special education-related services. Follow-up services and interventions are tried. A referral for a special education evaluation is made by the school district or parents. The basis for these steps originate from the regulations found in IDEA. The first step is a child is identified as possibly needing special education and related services. To assist states in this identification process, the IDEA includes a component called Child Find. that requires states to identify, locate, and evaluate all children with disabilities ages birth to 21 who may be in need of special education services. In North Dakota, the North Dakota Department of Human Services is the public agency responsible to provide child find services for children ages 0 to 3. The North Dakota Department of Public Instruction, Office of Special Education, is responsible to assure that Child Find is available to students ages 3 through 21. As part of Child Find responsibilities, school districts conduct screening activities. Screening activities assist in identifying students who are at risk of not progressing according to expectations or who are suspected of needing additional supplemental services. As a follow-up to the screening, a professional may give a resource packet to the parents or request that a student be rescreened, referred for diagnostic assessments, referred to another agency, or participate in the intervention process that the school has in place. For school-aged children, follow-up services may be provided through an intervention process. This could be through the Response to Intervention Process, RTI, or Multi-Tier System of Supports, MTSS, or a building-level team process. The team process is a general education activity that is used to provide support to a classroom teacher. A structured problem-solving process is used by educators and parents to develop interventions for a student who's experiencing difficulty in classroom achievement or behavior. Parents should be involved from the very beginning in any intervention process. When parents are involved in the process to improve learning for their child, they will be more knowledgeable about their child's education. To provide further information regarding the North Dakota Multi-Tier System of Supports, Pathfinder and NDDPI have developed a brochure, Parent Guide to NDMTSS. The link to this brochure is available on the Pathfinder website. In addition to the brochure, there are several resources on the Pathfinder website that focus on the multi-tier system of supports process. These resources include books, DVDs, print resources, the link to the Pathfinder webinar, North Dakota Multi-Tier System of Supports Supporting All Learning Styles, and links to the North Dakota websites that focus on North Dakota MTSS process. If the follow-up services and interventions tried by the parent and school or agency personnel do not assist the student in addressing the difficulty experienced, the process for collecting additional information should be initiated in a timely manner through a referral for a comprehensive special education evaluation. The parent of a child or the school district may initiate the initial evaluation procedures. As stated in the ND-DPI guidelines evaluation process, school districts and other agencies involved in providing services to children with disabilities are responsible for having a written referral process in place. This process must include the written policies, procedures, and forms required to ensure a comprehensive referral process. But why is the special education evaluation completed? Because a child has been identified as possibly needing special education and related services. Follow-up services and interventions were tried but did not assist the child in addressing the difficulty experienced. Therefore, the process of collecting additional information is initiated through a referral for a comprehensive special education evaluation. After a referral for evaluation has been made, and before conducting an initial evaluation of a child, a public agency must provide parents with a prior written notice, provide parents with a procedural safeguards notice, obtain parents' informed written consent. A prior written notice refers to the public agency's obligation to inform parents a reasonable time before it proposes or refuses to take specific actions, such as initiating an initial evaluation of the child. The purpose behind this thorough explanation is to ensure that parents are fully informed, understand what is being proposed or refused, and understand what an evaluation of their child will involve. The procedural safeguards notice refers to the comprehensive written explanation that public agencies must provide parents on specific occasions to fully inform them of IDEA's procedural safeguards. Initial referral or parent request for evaluation are two occasions that prompt the provision of the procedural safeguards notice. The school district must have the parents' informed written consent before evaluating their child for the first time. Parents must understand that their consent is voluntary. The comprehensive description of a proposed or refused action as contained in the prior written notice is intended to inform parents fully about a specific issue. The NDDPI Office of Special Education has developed guidance documents which provide a detailed explanation regarding prior written notice, procedural safeguards, and consent. A link to these documents can be found on the Pathfinder website. Once consent is given for an initial evaluation, the process must be completed within 60 calendar days, which includes school breaks and holidays. Completion of the initial evaluation process must include written documentation that includes eligibility determination and educational need. Each child that is referred for a special education evaluation will be different from each other in many ways, but they may also share something in common. Each may be a student who has a disability that could require special education services in the school setting. Let's take a look at 3 students who have been referred for a special education evaluation. As I read about these students, imagine that you are part of this student's evaluation team and think of the characteristics about these students that will make the special education evaluation individualized for them. An example could be the age of each student. Richard is a first grader, as you can probably tell by his missing front teeth. He is smart and eager to learn. Everyone is very surprised when he can't seem to learn to read. He struggles all year. His parents work with him at home, but by the end of his first grade, he's still behind. Richard's teachers meet with his parents and they decide that Richard should be evaluated. Susanna is in danger of failing 4th grade. She's only been in the country a few years, so her spoken English can sometimes be hard to understand. Her reading and writing skills in English are even harder to understand. But her teacher is also worried about how Susanna drifts off in class, paying no attention, sometimes not even hearing when she's called on to participate. Her teacher isn't sure what's going on. Is it Susanna's English that's causing the problem, or something more? Kevin has become severely withdrawn in the last year. His grades have been declining steadily. He is starting to skip school, and when the teacher calls on him in class, he responds rudely or not at all. The teacher is worried about Kevin. Richard, Susanna, and Kevin have many unique characteristics. Listed on this slide are a few of the possible characteristics that will make the special education evaluation individualized for each of these students. Even though each evaluation may vary depending on what disability is suspected or what difficulties a child may be showing, there are specific requirements that a special education evaluation must adhere to. What are the key basic requirements of a special education evaluation? When a child has been referred for an evaluation, the team must assure that the evaluation is accurate, comprehensive, and individualized. These key requirements are based on the regulations found within the Individuals with Disabilities Education Act, IDEA. A complete copy of the IDEA regulations focused on evaluation can be found in the NDDPI Guidelines evaluation process. What makes an evaluation accurate? An accurate evaluation includes assessments and other evaluation materials that are administered by personnel who are trained to do so, such as psychologists, clinical social workers, or teachers, given in accordance with the formal instructions provided by the test maker or publisher, and are valid and reliable for the design purposes. For example, when assessing a child's language skills, An appropriate assessment tool designed to assess language skills must be used. Whatever area that is being assessed must be done by using an appropriate assessment tool that is valid, reliable, and designed to assess that area. What makes an evaluation comprehensive? When conducting an evaluation, the school district must use a variety of assessment tools and strategies, not use any single measure or assessment as the sole criterion for determining whether a child is a child with a disability, assure that a child is assessed in all areas related to the suspected disability, assure that the evaluation is sufficiently comprehensive to identify all of the child's special education and related services needs. Let's take a closer look at the requirements that make an evaluation comprehensive. IDEA regulations prohibits basing eligibility determination or special education programming upon the results of only one test, measure, or assessment procedure. Evaluators need to use a variety of assessments and approaches when evaluating a child. This may include observing the child in different settings to see how he or she functions in those environments, interviewing individuals who know the child, and testing the child to evaluate his or her competency in whatever skill areas appear affected by the suspected disability, as well as those that may be areas of strength. Only by collecting data through a variety of approaches and from a variety of sources can an adequate picture be obtained of the child's strengths and needs. The evaluation team needs to ensure that the child is assessed in all areas related to the suspected disability. This could include, if appropriate, health, vision, hearing, social and emotional status, general intelligence, academic performance, communicative status, and motor abilities. In addition to assessments in the child's suspected disability area, the team must complete assessments that identify all of the child's possible special education and related services needs. What makes an evaluation individualized? An individual evaluation is just that, individual, focused on that child and that child alone. An evaluation of a child under IDEA means much more than the child sitting in a room with the rest of his or her class taking an exam for that class, that school, that district, or that state. It assures that assessments and other evaluation materials are selected and administered so as not to be discriminatory on a racial or cultural basis, are provided and administered in the child's native language or other mode of communication, and are tailored to assess specific areas of educational need. To assure that the special education evaluation is individualized, the assessments and other evaluation procedures must produce accurate and useful information when evaluating children who come from a non-dominant culture or primarily speak a language other than English. These provisions could apply when evaluating children for whom English is not the native language, who communicate by signing, who use alternative augmentative communication, or who use other means to communicate. Assessments must be conducted in accordance with the student's typical mode of communication and in a form that will yield accurate information. In addition, assessments and other evaluation materials need to be selected to assess specific areas of educational need. This supports the need for multiple sources of information, a variety of instruments, and the inappropriateness of using one sole criterion to determine whether the child is a child with a disability and to determine what would be an appropriate educational program for that child. Let's take time for a quick review. Do you recall the 3 key requirements of a special education evaluation? Let's see how you did. A is for accurate, C equals comprehensive, and I equals individualized. Thank you for viewing part 1 of the why, what, and how of the special education evaluation process. Join us for part 2, which focuses on the North Dakota Department of Public Instruction special education evaluation process that incorporates the IDEA requirements addressed in part 1. The components that will be reviewed include the student profile evaluation, assessment plan, and the integrated written assessment report. In addition to providing information relating to each of these evaluation components, we will provide basic information regarding re-evaluation and the independent educational evaluation. Please send your questions or requests to the email address shown on this slide. In addition, we would appreciate your feedback by completing the survey that is available in the additional resource section. Again, thank you for attending.